The Babylonians attempted to set a new name on Daniel, to set a new name on his friends, to set a way of life on them. But Daniel, by God's grace, set his heart on the Lord his God. Isn't that interesting? I think that takes us back to 1 John as well. 1 John 4, verse 4. Little children, you are from God and have overcome them, for he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. The world tried to set its ways on Daniel and his friends, tries to set its values on them, try to set a new way of life on them, but they didn't have to give in. And the same thing is true with you and me. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And here's the twist of biblical irony from the story we're looking at this morning. Those who look to be the losers as the story begins end up being the winners. Here's the irony. What begins to look like the losers, Daniel and his friends, the people of Israel, they end up being the ones who are the influencers. Stop and think about this. The king wants to bring them in, change them into Babylonians, so they go back to influence the people. But what happens? What do we read at the end of chapter 1? He keeps them in his palace, and they become influencers on the king. The king even gets it right away. He's like, these guys, they're 10 times smarter than my guys. The guys that I turn to for advice and counsel and wisdom, these guys are better than my guys. Think of how that flips. The guys who seem to be the ones who are being overwhelmed as this chapter begins are the ones who are the influencers as the chapter ends. And by the way, you're going to love this in a few chapters later. Nebuchadnezzar, this great, powerful pagan king Nebuchadnezzar, will end his life being a worshiper of the God of heaven. I'm going to take these young men and I'm going to change them into Babylonians, and they're then going to go back to their people and they're going to make them into Babylonians. They're going to influence them. What happens? He brings them into his palace, and in the end, they change him. What a story of God's reign, of God not abandoning his people, and of God using his people to accomplish his good purpose in the Babylonians.